Hey everybody, it's Akemi from Akemi Kai Inner Beauty, and I like to talk about law of assumption and inner work because I believe that we can improve what's out there by improving what's in here. So today I just wanted to make a really short video about, um, this is going to be short, but I feel like it needs its own little like topic, which is this idea of letting go. Let's talk about letting go. This is something that I feel like pops up. It's very American, like in terms of American content creators. Like I see it a lot in like the tarot community, the astrology community, the coaching community. Like a lot of people will just talk about this concept of letting go. And like for example, they might say like this card in your reading is about like letting go of something. You need to let go of something in order to move forward. Or they'll say like this, the astrology for this full moon, it's very much like, maybe it's like the South Node or something. Like it's about letting go. Like you've got to let go. It's about like clearing out old content to make room for the new. Okay, I just want to make a really quick video on that because I want to bring something up that I think is important to clarify, which is that not everybody's American, okay? And we all come from different parts of the world and different backgrounds and different cultures. And sometimes content creators can bring their cultural bias into the new age community without even realizing that it's happening. And I feel like this letting go is one that comes up that I always think, oh, there's something I need to say about that. And what I mean here is that it is kind of a trend amongst American New Age practitioners or whatever to have this idea that letting go means ending relationships. Okay, ending relationships. And the theory is that I'm growing and I'm going through a period of spiritual growth right now. And I'm elevating my consciousness and I'm growing and I'm like raising my vibration. And therefore, these other people around me, they're like, there's something toxic going on. And so in order for me to grow and to move beyond this and to like, I need to like cut those relationships off because those people are toxic and they are lower vibration and they're holding me back and I need to grow. Okay, and I just want to like call that out as like that is a very like contemporary American way of seeing or way of understanding letting go. Okay, I just want to put that out there. First of all, in other cultures, people do not discard relationships the way that Americans do. Like people stay married for their whole lives. People stay connected to all their family members. People do not throw out relationships when they go through periods of personal growth. Okay? And I just want to challenge this idea that when someone says to you that it's a period where you need to let go, you need to look at this idea that like there is within this, okay? This is not going to be fun to hear, but we have to be like super accountable, right? Within that concept is a superiority complex of like, I'm right, I'm good, I'm better than everybody else, I know what's going on, and they don't. They're toxic, they're not as mature as I am, they're not as spiritual as I am, they haven't grown as spiritually as I have, and therefore in order for me to go beyond, I need to cut them out of my life and let go of them because they're toxic. Okay, that is like, woo, gotta be questioning. That's like a red flag waving right there. Like anytime that you think that you are smarter than or more spiritual than whoever you're in a relationship with, like, woo, that ought to be a red flag right away for you if you're on the path of accountability. In my personal experience, letting go means there's something in me that is creating a dynamic in my reality that I need to let go of in order for those relationships to all up level. there's something in me. Now, I know this is different than what a lot of us have been taught or raised or whatever in whatever spiritual traditions or family groups we were raised in. But within us, like, I'm just going to say it. It can be something to grapple with. So if I say this and it's just like, like it's a turnoff for you, or you're like, that's not true for me, or blah, blah, blah. Like, just all I would say is just like, take it, chew on it like gum. Like, just take it away from this video and chew on it for a week or a month or whatever, and see what it brings up in you and what do you learn about yourself. Because there's a radical shift in our path when we are willing to change our view on this to like, the dynamics that I'm experiencing with another person in my life are at least 50% my responsibility. At least. People respond to us the way that we show up, and we get a different version of them depending on how we show up. And if you don't believe that's true, you can look around at people in your life. You may know somebody and they act completely differently around another person than they do around you. Like, that other person gets a completely different version of them than you do. You may have an ex who with you was like, I'm not committing, I don't want to commit, I don't want to get married, I don't want to have kids, I never want to blah. And then like the woman that he dates after you, he like, you run into them and he's like married and they have children, and you're like, what? Like, who is this person, right? I'm sure if you think about it in your life, you can come up with an example. But in the modern, especially Western, English speaking world, and again, a lot of countries fall into this. I'm not American, okay? And like a lot of content creators are, and just assume that everybody that they're talking to, their whole audience is American, and that's not the case. Got a lot of Europeans, and like for me, my family growing up, they're European and they're super old school, old world. It's really different. Like the way that I grew up, or the values that I got imparted into me from my relatives growing up can be really different than other people. So let's not make those kinds of assumptions when we're online interacting with a lot of people that are speaking English. Doesn't mean that we're all coming from the same country or the same social background or the same like cultural values or mindset, because a lot of us are not, right? So I want to put out this idea that something that it's very valuable to challenge in your life is the idea that in order to grow, you need to cut people off, that you need to end relationships, that you need to get divorced. I know it's going to be triggering for people, but it needs to be challenged, okay? Because underlying that idea is that you're not doing anything wrong, and that the other person is the one who's like inferior in some way and less spiritual than you, and just not growing with you and not where you're at, and like you need to get rid of them in order to go where you're going, right? We need to challenge that. If we're really on a path of accountability, like, we got to challenge that. So what I want to put out there for people to take away and just chew on, and you can decide whether you want to keep it or throw it out, it's always up to you, is the idea that when the message comes up in our lives, you need to let go of something. If there is a relationship or more in our lives that we're like, oh yeah, I gotta let go, like I gotta let go of that person, instead of ending that relationship and cutting that person out of your life, instead, pull back and go inside yourself. Go away for a weekend. Go away for a week. Go travel somewhere solo. Take a journal. How are you showing? What is the dynamic you're experiencing with that person? How are you showing up that is creating that dynamic? You can't control anyone else. I'm not saying that none of the fault is theirs. I'm not saying that. But how are you showing up that is bringing the version of them out that you don't like? And how might you change how you're showing up that would bring out a different version of them? Now, if you want to do a deep dive into this idea, which I highly recommend, but it's not for the faint of heart. Frankly, I think it's quite advanced work, and I don't know. I mean, I'm older. I don't look as old as I am. Well, maybe I do, but I don't think I personally would have been ready for this kind of work when I was younger. So no judgment if it's just like unpalatable to you. But if you do want to do a deep dive into this, because it's transformative and it will transform your relationships, I highly recommend. This is the book that I recommend for doing a deep dive, and she has a wonderful channel that you can follow. It's a podcast. It's on Spotify, and she has it on YouTube, and I think it's on like whatever the iPhone Spotify podcaster is as well. And so I really recommend this. And her name is Laura Doyle. She does amazing work with women that it's like a super deep dive into like radical accountability in relationship skills. Check it out. Highly recommended.